Don't underestimate this ear pick, because when using it, you will be immune to all melee attacks from the outside world. You can even taunt enemies who attack you. And this was actually the reward Ren Xiaosu received after completing the punishment mission. Just after Shadow rescued the man from the tarantula's burrow, the people wrapped in the spider web gradually woke up. But someone discovered that although these people were awake, but can't move, Ren Xiaosu immediately stepped forward. Maybe it's because I don't have any acting talent yet. I'll show you a split. Everyone who heard this fell silent instantly. Suddenly Idiom said to everyone, I want to know who the white mask is protecting. Can you let him join the team? It's better for everyone to take care of each other. At this time, someone suggested that I offer 5 million. Let the white mask enter the team. No need to deliberately protect anyone. Just stay in the team. Ren Xiaosu really didn't expect that this man was rich and powerful. Spend 5 million just to make the shadow appear. Suddenly Wang Yun laughed and said, Who the real master cares about 5 million? If he shows up for a mere 5 million, I'll just walk upside down for a day. Just then, Palace pop-up window fulfills teammates' wishes. Ren Xiaosu's eyes lit up instantly. This task is not simple. Then the shadow appeared silently. Wang Yun was immediately in disbelief. And Shadow also directly reached out and asked for money. Men are decisive. I gave her the 5 million card directly. Then the shadow turned to look at Wang Yun. The meaning is already obvious. Wang Yun was furious. But we can only do as we are told. Targeting me, right? Wait until my support team arrives. You will know who is the boss here. Idiom see the shadow and join the team. Greet everyone is set off immediately. And Wang Yun took advantage of everyone not paying attention. Sneak into the woods. Keep marking. And in order to guide the supporting troops, I used compressed biscuits along the way. At this time, he didn't have much food rations on him. After doing all this, he stood on his head again and followed the team. Until the next night, Wang Yun is in trouble. Obviously there are signs all the way. Why haven't the brothers arrived yet? At this time, the man who paid the money kindly handed Shadow the food, but was rejected by the shadow. Ren Xiaosu felt a little strange. This person seems to be too enthusiastic about the shadow. After late night, Wang Yun is really hungry. Take advantage of extraordinary abilities. Secretly stole the food that the man gave to Shadow. Now he doesn't care so much anymore. Survival is the most important thing. He guessed that the brother hasn't come yet. I'm afraid something happened. She has to stay in good shape. Avenge them. At the same time in the tent, the man shot out with a sniper rifle. And his target is the shadow. Ren Xiaosu suddenly woke up. There is indeed something wrong with that man. Seeing the shadow fall to the ground, the man rushed out of the tent. The shadow was swept away. Then the man fired a shot into the sky. I saw a red flare rising into the sky. This is calling for foreign aid. After a while, a group of men in black came towards the tent. The idiom immediately puts everyone in a fighting state. These people might also attack us. However, screams came from the woods at this time. In fact, the shadow has always been pretending, just waiting for these people to take action. And he just took this opportunity to catch them all. These men in black are not enough to look at in front of the shadow. All solved with just a few cuts. I didn't understand the idiom for a while. Wasn't the white mask hit by a tranquilizer gun? Why did the situation suddenly turn around? I saw the shadow walking out silently holding a black knife. And he collected a bunch of metal badges in his hands. Idiom pick up the badge and look at it carefully. There is actually an undercover agent from Tinder in our team. Tinder Company. Everyone has their own number engraved on the left side of their ribs. In order to avoid the hidden insiders of Tinder in the team, we need to check ourselves. Suddenly someone reported, Wang Yun is missing. Ren Xiaosu suddenly started thinking, is he also a Tinder person? But when everyone opened the tent, but found Wang Yun foaming at the mouth, already passed out, Chung Yu said after checking, still alive, probably poisoned. After Wang Yun woke up, she asked the idiom about the origin of the biscuits. Suddenly fell into embarrassment. He can't say he stole it, right? But Ren Xiaosu has already seen everything. This guy helped Shadow block a disaster. Have you got nothing to eat? I just happen to have some extra that I can sell to you for 1,050 compressed cookies. Suddenly the palace releases a mission. Sing children's songs with teammates. Ren Xiaosu immediately changed the subject. I don't want money anymore. Sing a children's song with me. I'll give you 50 compressed biscuits. How about it? Wang Yun was embarrassed on the spot after hearing this, but he soon gave in. Blushing with embarrassment, she sang children's songs along with Ren Xiaosu, and everyone was speechless as they watched them act like monsters. Suddenly the palace pop-up window, because all tasks completed by the host are perfect rewards. New skill ear pick. Ren Xiaosu couldn't bear to look at it for a moment. What the hell is this? What are their skills? Diamond Star Fist. Mount Lushan ascends to the dragon. What do you mean by giving me an earpick? He immediately asked the palace. What is this unfair skill used for? However, the palace informed me that I had no authority. Ren Xiaosu became angry on the spot. I've lost all faith these days, jumping around doing tasks every day. As a result, I was given an unreliable earpick. What's even more annoying is, this earpick is not as good as the ones in market towns that cost a few cents. Just then, Fatty Luo stretched out his hand to pat Ren Xiaosu. As a result, my hand was bounced away. The two fell into silence on the spot. Suddenly Ren Xiaosu remembered an old saying. Don't touch it when picking out your ears. Ready to test the function of the earpick. You'll hit me with a stone from a distance soon. Yang Xiaojing also did it without asking why. As a result, the stone was not bounced away this time. Then Ren Xiaosu handed over another stone. You shoot with a stone this time. I followed Yang Xiaojing's rocks and took pictures. At the moment when they are about to make contact, the stone was bounced. Yang Xiaojing asked curiously, what new abilities do you have? Ren Xiaosu guessed. Use this earpick to pick out your ears to resist close attacks. Yang Xiaojing smiled and said, interesting skills. Whose replica is this time? Ren Xiaosu scratched his head. This time it's a reward. Not counting everyone coming to the outskirts of the holy mountain after the reenactment. I found that the plants here have mutated. Not only are the trees tall, even the coriander has become huge. Ren Xiaosu checked it and said, these are no longer edible. This liquid comes from a milky white plant in the wild. In all likelihood, if you eat it, you will die. Suddenly the idiom called everyone over, because there is a weird shrine here. A strange shrine appears in the wilderness. But he suddenly opened his eyes. People who have looked at him. In the next second, he bled to death from all 7 orifices. Fatty Luo saw this and kicked the shrine to pieces. I don't believe in any ghosts or gods. As the shrine shattered and fell to the ground, a red poisonous insect actually emerged from it. Upon seeing this, Ren Xiaosu immediately lit the match and flicked it out. Immediately afterwards, the flames burned all these red poisonous insects. Fatty Luo stepped in and laughed. Let me just say that there are no ghosts and gods in this world. That man must have been poisoned by a poisonous insect when he touched the idol. Hallucinated. That's why I feel like this shrine has opened its eyes. At this time Ren Xiaosu reminded. Starts tonight. Everyone must clean the grass around them before going to bed. I think there will be a lot of poisonous insects here. Don't be unable to sleep. At this time, idioms are also proposed. We'll camp here tonight. A bunch of poisonous insects were just burned to death here. Should be safer. Ren Xiaosu found Zhou Qi. You will secretly drain out the water around our tents later. This is safer. When it's time to pack up the tent at night. Fatty Luo asked curiously. I never had a chance to ask you. Why do you have to enter this holy mountain? I suspect that the person Huazhong arrested this time may be worth 6 yuan. Because I guess Lu Yuan may be experimental subject number 001. Fatty Luo suddenly said angrily. Tinder companies have gone too far. He actually kidnapped such cute little Lu Yuan. I will definitely help you save 6 yuan. Ren Xiaosu looked up at the starry sky. I don't know what's going on with the 6 yuan now. If it goes well, I'll come out. Let's go back to the northwest. Live a good life from now on. No more getting involved in the rights and wrongs of the Central Plains. Suddenly there was a scream in the camp. A woman tremblingly pointed to the open space. Why did that statue of God appear here last night? At this time, everyone walked out. Fatty Luo looked at the shrine thoughtfully. This should be the one I kicked to pieces. Look, the feet that were knocked off are exactly the same. Suddenly Ren Xiaosu noticed something. There's so much noise outside. Have the people in the tent woken up yet? Wait until he opens the door curtain. His expression became frightened, because the people in the tent have already been invaded by poisonous insects. Ren Xiaosu was a little surprised. Things started to get weirder and weirder. Come and check the body. This guy was standing next to me last night. At that time, he also wanted to touch the shrine. Could it be that this idol wants to kill everyone who disrespects him? Fatty Luo said disdainfully after hearing this. Then he should come to me first. I kicked him to pieces. Why haven't I seen him take revenge yet? Then he picked up a rock and threw it down. The shrine became fragmented again. However, Fatty Luo looked shocked, because there is a white bone hidden inside the shrine. Ren Xiaosu looked around at the reactions of the people around him. Theories of ghosts and gods. He never believed it. I'm just a little worried that there will be an undercover tender in the team, able to move the idol quietly. You can kill people silently. So he had to be careful. At this time, Wang Yun sneered in her heart. I'm afraid no one would have thought of it. I will accomplish all this quietly, right? It turns out not long ago, Wang Yun overheard the conversations of other people in the team. There is actually an informant sent by the opponent hidden in this team. This time, I didn't get any support from the brothers who went into the mountains. Finally got an explanation. And these are the people Wang Yun killed tonight. At the same time, the idiom immediately calls on everyone to leave this weird place. Then he took everyone to another place to camp. And Ren Xiaosu also took the initiative to ask to come to the vigil tonight. He wanted to see who was behind it. Wait until everyone goes to sleep. Ren Xiaosu quietly opened his eyes. At this time, in the open space not far away, the originally fragmented shrine is constantly being recombined and reorganized. Then he quickly approached the camp location. Seeing everyone in the camp falling asleep, the shrine rushed towards a tent. But in the next second, Ren Xiaosu kicked the shrine. But what he didn't expect was that this shrine was easily dodged. So Ren Xiaosu also planned to use some strength to show off. Then he hit Thomas' roundhouse kick, kicked the shrine to pieces again. Wang Yun peeked inside the tent. The expression is a bit shocked. Just then, everyone was awakened. They all came out to ask about the situation. Ren Xiaosu waved his hand and explained. This idol suddenly flew over. Don't know what's going on. He glued himself. But I've kicked his head off again. Cheng Yu asked tremblingly. How did he get here? Ren Xiaosu said. He just flew here by himself. Then he bared his teeth and claws to cover up. I'm keeping vigil. Suddenly a statue of a god floated over. He was broken and put back together again. Looks very ferocious. You know what I mean? The kind with a face full of cracks. After scaring everyone awake, Ren Xiaosu, however, went back to prepare for bed. And Wang Yun's sneaky look, Ren Xiaosu also observed clearly. Sure enough, it was the young man who was causing trouble. Intent. Wang Yun was a little annoyed. The originally perfect plan was all messed up. At this time, Ren Xiaosu was also thinking in the tent. As long as it doesn't affect us, it doesn't matter what he wants to do. What we need to be careful about now is, after the fire company arrived at the core of the holy mountain, I'm afraid there will be more weird methods. At the same time, outside the holy mountain, Zhou Yingxue discovered an evolved sweet potato seedling. Now the potato shooter won't be alone. Suddenly he became confused. The master must be with Yang Xiaojing now, waiting to meet. What should I call her? Madam or young mistress? Just then, Coriander came up. Girl, what are you doing here? I just know that I have nothing to do every day, picking flowers and grass. Zhou Yingxue said without hesitation. Of course I came here to participate in the Anjin Temple selection. After all, I am a plant-type extraordinary person. Collecting plants can improve my strength. Coriander whispers in his heart. There was nothing unusual when I investigated him before. But wherever he goes, something happens. Very weird. At this time, Tang Hualong took out his mobile phone. The boss sent a message saying, "The white mask over the idiom appears. There are also Tinder spies. Let us proceed with caution." Zhou Xue immediately ran over after hearing this. Where is this white mask? Where did their team go? Vanilla has no good airway. White mask on the east side of the Holy Mountain. We are in the west. You should go across the Holy Mountain to find him. Suddenly Vanilla looked shocked. There are footsteps. Everyone is ready to fight. However, what they didn't expect was that the visitor turned out to be Li Shantan. Don't do it. I'm just passing by. Coriander asked tremblingly. You are the devil. The speaker. That's just a nickname. Don't take it seriously. Suddenly Li Shantan was stunned. Walking towards Zhou Xue. Why are you here? Where is your boss? Zhou Xue also recognized it at this moment. You are that magician from Los Angeles. What do you want from him? Is it possible that you can find my boss if you want to? Li Shunkin pointed at himself and said, I'm your boss's best friend. Zhou Xue looked disdainful. My boss only says you are a friend. I didn't say anything about close friends or relatives. As a result, Li Shantan was not angry. On the contrary, I am a little happy. Did he really call me a friend? At this time, Coriander is a little scared. Who is Xue's boss this week? He can actually make Li Shantan rush to be friends. I don't know where my boss is either. But if you want to find him, come with me to the Holy Mountain. I think he'll be fine inside. Then let's go to the Holy Mountain together. Then Li Shantan snapped his fingers. The person who followed him looked dull for a moment. Then he started to take the initiative to set up tents. Li Shantan waved. Xiao Liren came over and sat down. I asked them to cook for you. The little tanuki said I want to eat roasted sweet potatoes. A sweet potato immediately floated out of Zhou Xue's hand. I have purified sweet potatoes here. Very delicious. At this time, Li Shantan noticed that everyone around him looked nervous. He smiled. Why are you all standing there? I'm in a good mood today. Let me show you a magic trick. As a result, those people shook their heads and waved their hands wildly. Li Shantan said thoughtfully, Don't you like my magic? Do you look down on me? Li Shantan. Now those heads were shaking even more crazily. At this time, Shangcai came up. Are these people under your control? Li Shantan explained with a smile. When I meet them, they are fighting. If I don't control them, they must die. More people. The trip to the Holy Mountain ends. I let them go. They will have to thank me for saving my life then. Are you right? Coriander is a little speechless. The logic of the Devil Whisperer is indeed different from that of ordinary people. He is indeed a lunatic as rumored. But why do the people he controls behave so weirdly? But fortunately he is there. No one can successfully attack. Li Shantan just wanted to enter the tent. What came to mind? Turned around and walked towards the crowd. Then he whispered, Ask friends from Tinder Company to turn around. As a result, a group of people came over instantly. See if there are any of your people in this camp. If there is, just give me vanilla. I didn't expect that I could find a mole like this. Tang Hualong sighed inwardly. This Devil Whisperer is behaving erratically. I don't know who can be friends with him. Someone was identified at this time. They immediately retorted, We are not Tinder people. None of us have tattoos on our ribs. If you don't believe it, you can take a look. Li Shun said with a smile. Isn't this tattoo something that your Tinder revealed to the public? Just to confuse things like today. For this common sense that everyone knows. I have never believed it. Then he took out a coin. Let's play a guessing game. If you guessed it right, I'll let you live. As soon as these words came out, everyone looked at each other in horror. At this time someone raised his hand and said, I guess the literal is on top. Then Li Shantan threw the coin upwards. Then you should keep an eye on it. As the coin continues to reverse, time seems to stand still at this moment. Everyone is attracted to coins. Cilantro reacted immediately. Close your eyes quickly. However, except Zhou Xue around, all have been hypnotized. Li Shantan praised. You react pretty quickly? Shangcai thought to herself that this Devil Whisperer is really hard to guard against. Fortunately, My vanilla is not at the mercy of others. Then Li Shuntan made a gesture of snapping his fingers. Except for Tinder, who unhypnotizes me by snapping my fingers. With the snap of fingers, some people suddenly came to their senses. Vanilla is a little weird. What on earth is Li Shuntan going to do? Why is he helping us? At this time, Xiaoli flew over with great popularity. I'm still waiting to see the front and back. Why don't you keep your word? Li Shuntan smiled and said, What credibility do you give to mental patients? Suddenly, Li Shuntan turned around and asked, Why weren't you hypnotized just now? Zhou Yingxue said, Of course. What's there? Why is it just a small trick? It seems that you are not simple either. No wonder she can become her maid. Zhou Yingxue raised her head proudly. I guess you have vision. Li Shuntan raised a smile at the corner of his mouth. Interesting. Zhou Yingxue cannot be disturbed by hypnosis. It shows that his mental strength is far beyond that of ordinary people. Do you really not know where your boss is? You should really want to see him. Why don't you tell me? Let's go find him and play together. Zhou Yingxue started to think about it. Before, the boss seems to have indeed said that. Li Shuntan is a friend. He should be separated from us in the west by a holy mountain. Li Shuntan smiled. Then we will flatten the holy mountain. At the same time, the northwest wilderness. Zhang Jinglin is looking at the newspaper in his hand. Suddenly a car came to his tent. The person coming is none other than Wang Shangji. I just passed barrier 144. I noticed a lot of caravan trucks parked outside. It seems that the decision to reopen the trade route is the right one. Zhang Jingming smiled and said, I'm afraid you can't think of it. The best-selling product in the northwest of your country is lipstick, right? Now the Central Plains is no longer peaceful, right? How dare you drive so lightly? Jian Tsongda came to northwest. Wang Shengji explained. Because all the cows, demons, and snake gods have gone to the holy mountain. That's why I dare to go out like this. Zhang Jinglin is thoughtful. You hit it, right? Wang Shengji did not answer. Zhang Jinglin knows. Now Anjing Temple and the royal family have begun to join forces. It's a game for everyone in the world, beginning with the fall of East Lake. The network that Anjing Temple has laid out for many years is constantly tightening. So much so that now there is experimental subject number 001. It can make the whole Central Plains move. And Wang Shengji did this. I'm afraid it's just to clear away all unstable obstacles. At this time, Wang Shengji said, You have reached an agreement with the Qing family here. Agreed to incorporate them into the railway. And through you to trade with the Central Plains. Are you guarding against me? You worry too much. Trade with the Qing family. The main thing is to communicate with each other. Do you have any thoughts on guarding against anyone? You're not the kind of person who would go out to relax when you have nothing to do. Tell me what's important for you when you come to the northwest this time. Wang Shengji no longer beats around the bush. I want to restore order to this world. Harness artificial intelligence. Ren Xiaosu and others entered a strange canyon. Once someone comes out of it, he will instantly become crazy. Start fighting each other. Even the idiom of being a transcendent person has been affected. It turned out that he and everyone had just arrived at the canyon. I received a message. Said that Vanilla's team on the other side encountered Li Shuntan. The whole team lost control. You must watch Li Shuntan perform magic idioms every day. After reading, suddenly I feel a sense of balance in my heart. At least it's not just my team that has encountered moths. At this time, Ren Xiaosu looked at the canyon in front of him. I have a bad feeling in my heart. It seems that everything I saw this time was strange. It's like a school designed by someone else. To swallow up all the teams. Ren Xiaosu suddenly asked curiously, Who controls Tinder Company? I don't think I've heard you mention this before. Yang Xiaojing explained. I didn't mention it because the Tinder Company is not controlled by one person. Instead, 5. You can't be sure whose handiwork a particular strategy of his is. Ren Xiaosu was a little surprised. Then won't they have any quarrels because of the uneven distribution of benefits? This is what makes Tinder unique. It is said that they never disagree on interests. They are a group of chief scientists in 5 fields, and each person leads a research team. Study 5 different directions. While they were talking, they had already entered the canyon. Ren Xiaosu suddenly discovered that there was something strange about the stone walls of the canyon. It's more like it's man-made. And everyone discovered this. Idiom. Immediately greet everyone to pass quickly. While traveling, everyone is on guard against Tinder's sneak attack. But until they were about to finish walking through the canyon, there's no movement either. Ren Xiaosu felt a little unreasonable. Such a convenient place for an ambush. Tinder Company serves as home field. Impossible to give up. Talking room. The shadow has already walked out of the canyon before everyone else. Ren Xiaosu saw through the shadow. There's nothing strange outside this canyon. There wasn't even an ambush outside the canyon. Everyone followed the shadow out of the canyon. But the moment we walked out of the canyon, Ren Xiaosu suddenly saw Cheng Yu's assistant pull out a gun. Shoot someone next to you. Not only him. There are also many people who seemed to go crazy the moment they walked out of the canyon. Just half a minute. 3 people have already died. Those crazy people are holding guns and bullets flying in the air. Ren Xiaosu quickly pulled Yang Xiaojing back into the canyon. Yang Xiaojing closed his eyes tightly at this time, like struggling with something. Ren Xiaosu was worried that he would also become a demon. I wanted to knock him out directly. As a result, before he could take action, Yang Xiaojing opened his eyes again. There's something weird about this canyon. Save Roland and the others first. At this time, Ren Xiaosu looked towards Luolan and others. Found them all in a state of great confusion. It's just that I didn't move my hands randomly. Suddenly a bullet hit Roland's leg. But he didn't end the chaos. Ren Xiaosu saw that something was wrong. You have to knock him out forcefully to be done. Roland finally became a transcendent. Time is still short. Zhouqi and Daoyu woke up after a while. However, the first reaction of the big liar was to lie on the ground and pretend to be fainted. Ren Xiaosu had no choice but to drag her back to the canyon. Ren Xiaosu asked doubtfully, "What happened to Yang Xiaojing just now? Why do I have nothing to do?" Yang Xiaojing recalled, "I started hallucinating the moment I walked out of the canyon. In hallucination, I saw you drawing a knife on me." Ren Xiaosu asked curiously, "Then how did you wake up?" Yang Xiaojing said, "Of course. I don't think you will do anything to me. This should be fake." So I woke up. At this time, the shadows were knocked unconscious one by one in the chaos. Everyone wants to stop this storm. But he found that except him in this team, there are others who stay awake too. The young man named Wang Yun shuttled among the crowd. And be extremely careful to avoid all projectiles. He first knocked his subordinates unconscious one by one and took them away. Then returned to the battlefield. Killed 4 people one after another. And the people he killed were spies sent by his competitors. He actually took advantage of this opportunity. First, I chose to exclude dissidents. It can be said to be cruel and ruthless. But in this chaos, save your subordinates first. I don't even know what kind of star the other party is. Just after Wang Yun killed the person he wanted to kill, then leave the battlefield immediately, silently watching others kill each other. And he also discovered that one of the people who stayed awake was Ren Xiaosu. It is obvious that Ren Xiaosu and White Mask have the strongest mental power here. Wang Yun's mind was confused for only 4 seconds before she woke up. But when he comes to his senses, I found that both Ren Xiaosu and By Mask acted like nothing happened. Even Yang Xiaojing is fine. He had long seen that there was something wrong with Ren Xiaosu. I just don't know from the perspective of spiritual will. Who is stronger, Ren Xiaosu or White Mask? Wang Yun is not like an idiom. Looking at people with colored glasses, he feels that Ren Xiaosu may not be worse than White Mask. You must know that the most terrifying people are those who are inconspicuous these days. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu has controlled the shadow. Knock everyone out. Ren Xiaosu asked curiously at the side. Were you not hallucinating from beginning to end? Ren Xiaosu appeared without thinking. Appeared in my hallucination. I'm going to chop you with a knife. As a result, I struggled internally. At that time I thought to myself, how can I cut you? No one can chop you. So I woke up. Yang Xiaojing rolled his eyes. So much drama. I see that everyone present is passively attacked. You hallucinate that you are attacking others. Stop pretending. You really weren't affected at all. This moment, Yang Xiaojing remembered what he said. When disaster strikes, spiritual will is the first weapon for mankind to face dangers. How strong is Ren Xiaosu's mental will? At this time, everyone outside the canyon began to slowly wake up. The injured person wakes up and starts wailing. And Roland secretly asked Ren Xiaosu for some black medicine. Then let Ren Xiaosu get the bullet for him. Ren Xiaosu glanced at him. Be patient and don't worry. Roland had just finished speaking. Ren Xiaosu took advantage of the moment when he was distracted. Caught the bullet accurately. Ren Xiaosu threw the bullet aside. Not bad. I didn't make any noise. Roland's face broke out in cold sweat. You thought I was joking? Roland, am a pure man. Ren Xiaosu looked at him again. Roland usually complains and feels tired. It's like pretending. There are as many irregularities as there are. It seems very unreliable. But the critical moment, some of the potential in the opponent's bones is revealed. Ren Xiaosu couldn't help but ask, so what do you usually pretend to be? You are not a lazy person either. Roland chuckled. This is my strategy to confuse my opponent. At this time, Wang Yun saw that they were chatting more relaxedly. He found an opportunity to jokingly ask Ren Xiaosu, we've been together for so long. I don't know your name yet. I don't know how to call it. I can't keep calling you Hey. Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. Then he thought about it and said, excuse me. It took too long to come up with a name. I kind of forgot. Wang Yun was speechless immediately. This excuse is so careless, right? But he is certain. The other party must not be some unknown person. The name must have appeared in some events. That's why I don't even want to tell you my name. Wang Yun thought carefully. I want to see if there is anyone in my memory who matches Ren Xiaosu's characteristics. Suddenly, he remembered a photo. Those are two sculptures from Qinghe Group. Although the sculpture has tried its best to hide the true figure. But the girl's peaked cap is still in Wang Yun's mind. It seems now, the boy and girl in front of me. It's very possible that he was the one who defeated all the consortiums in that battle. That is, the legendary transcendent in the Northwest who destroyed cities and villages. And when I was in Los Angeles, white masks also appeared. He doesn't believe there are such coincidences in the world. Wang Yun has always been very conceited, but he is also very self-aware. He knows what his greatest advantage is. He is indeed very strong in terms of extraordinary abilities, but definitely not the strongest. Suddenly Wang Yun became excited. This time the other party came to the holy mountain. I'm afraid the Tinder company will have a headache. At the same time, on another road into the mountains, Li Shangtan and Zhou Yingxue are leading the team to enter the canyon. In the canyon Li Shangtan and the others faced, almost exactly the same as what Ren Xiaosu and the others met. If Wang Yun and the others hadn't been there with Ren Xiaosu and his shadow, how could they have? I'm afraid the death toll has already exceeded 30. But Li Shangtan used his hypnotic ability to keep everyone on the team safe from injury. Through Ren Xiaosu, he just waved a knife. He actually killed Li Shangtan instantly. But in fact, that's not the real Li Shangtan. It's a replica created by the fire company using genetic samples. It turned out that just after Ren Xiaosu's team experienced the sudden change in the canyon, Li Shangtan's team also arrived here. It's just that the painting styles on both sides are completely different. At this time, Li Shangtan held a small red flag, like a tour guide. Let me emphasize. After entering this canyon, just keep your eyes on this little red flag. Never look around. This canyon is dangerous. If you don't do it, then I think about your safety. I can only hypnotize you. At this time, Li Shangtan explained while walking. The problem of this canyon is not mysterious either. The traces of man-made excavations on the walls here are all for hypnosis. Once you get out of this canyon, you may be hallucinating. Cannibalism. You may also become a vegetable from now on. After hearing this, Vanilla muttered to the side. How can it be so mysterious? Li Shangtan looked at him with a smile. Do you not believe in my professional ability? Vanilla quickly shook her head. No. Li Shun said with a smile. I don't know why there are people on Tinder who are proficient in this art. But I know that a few years ago in the Lee Mental Hospital where I was, gene samples have been stolen. It's probably the Tinder company that did it. Suddenly, Li Shuntan was thoughtful. Then will I meet another me here? It seems very interesting when you think about it. After hearing this, Vanilla and others fell into worry. What if there was one more devil whisperer in this holy mountain? That would be too scary. But their worries are a bit unnecessary. Li Shuntan turned his head and said with a smile, "Don't worry. If there really is another me here, I will kill him." Vanilla is stunned. Why did Li Shuntan take it for granted? Don't let him go out and steal my limelight. Vanilla said after a moment of silence. What should we do if we really meet? Li Shuntan thought for a while. It seems like there's really nothing you can do. You are too weak. Vanilla suddenly felt bad all over. Please don't say this so seriously, okay? Give me some face. Suddenly, Li Shuntan smiled strangely. Don't worry. There are people in this mountain who I can't do anything about. If there really is another devil whisperer in this holy mountain, then that person must be able to give him a big surprise. Vanilla was shocked after hearing this. There are still people in this world that he can do nothing about. A person who makes such a legendary powerhouse feel ashamed. What is it like? Li Shuntan continued with a smile. The reason why extraordinary people can become extraordinary people, it's because of their respective spiritual wills. Innate conditions determine the lower limit. All the acquired energy and mental capacity determine the upper limit. How could a cloned monster defeat me? Say it. Li Shuntan raised the little red flag. Continue to lead the way. Some moment. Vanilla suddenly felt that Li Shuntan really looked like a tour guide. It even has its own explanation function. At this time, Liren was floating next to Li Shuntan. Asked in a low voice, "Do you think there really is another person here?" Li Shuntan corrected. "There just might be someone with similar abilities to me, rather than another me." Liren nodded. "Then you can really beat him." Of course. Li Shuntan is extremely confident. But Liren couldn't understand his confidence. People are in the mountains. Maybe he gets training all year round. Mastered many methods of killing. And you go out and perform magic tricks every day. Not doing business properly. What makes you think you can beat him? Li Shuntan was playing with the silver coin in his hand. Because he is disabled. Mutilated. What makes people human? Liren was silent for a long time. Muttered. Isn't it because he doesn't have me by his side? Li Shuntan was stunned for a moment. This is a different approach. Novel angle. But I agree. After all, Liren is the most powerful. Liren laughed happily. That's pretty much it. At the same time, Chengyu and others on the other side began to camp on the spot outside the canyon. As a result, Ren Xiaosu came up to stop him. Don't camp here. Someone looked at Ren Xiaosu. Said coldly. So many wounded. It's no longer suitable for us to go any further. Ren Xiaosu didn't care about them. He just asked Roland and others to leave with him. Before leaving, he left a message. There is no difference between being plain silver and waiting to die here. There are some idioms that I don't understand. Why is suing involved in death? Ren Xiaosu said. Here is Tinder Company design. And their purpose is to capture the genetic samples of extraordinary people. Now all teams are suffering heavy casualties. If you were to camp at the restoration site at this time, I'm afraid we'll be under siege from the Tinder Company soon. The others present are not stupid either. Ren Xiaosu just clicked. React immediately. They don't care what kind of injuries they have. They all got up from the ground. Before leaving, Wang Yun buried some grenades in the woods, waiting to leave some surprises for Tinder people. It turns out they haven't gone far yet. Those who have questioned Ren Xiaosu. I heard an explosion coming from the direction of the canyon. It should be a grenade trap set by Wang Yun. Detonated by Tinder people. At this time, everyone was in a low mood. In a place like this where there is no backup, the result of injury is death. Suddenly, the palace's voice sounded in Ren Xiaosu's mind. Mission gives hope to the wounded. Ren Xiaosu's eyes lit up. Then he suddenly took out a bottle of black medicine. He also pointed at the wound on Roland's leg. This is a recipe passed down from my family's ancestors. Roland was shot just now, but his wounds have begun to heal now. Just 8 more hours. She can move as freely as normal people. The wound will be completely healed in 2 days. When everyone hears this, eyes all lit up. Immediately afterwards, they saw Ren Xiaosu put the black medicine into his pocket again. Chung Yu wondered, "Isn't this medicine you took out for everyone's use? Why did you put it away again? I just want you to take a look at idioms and the wounded." Suddenly full of questions. This person is too damaged, right? Suddenly the palace pop-up window task is completed. Reward perfect and skill learning map 1 move. Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. He was thinking, if task completion is linked to reward standards, does that mean the palace also thinks he did a good job? Ren Xiaosu was a little unpredictable for a while. What did the palace want him to do? But he didn't think much about it. Just starting to get excited. He already misses Roland. That skill that can re-summon dead friends has been too long. This is what he has seen so far. The only skill that can continue to extend life. But due to Roland's own limited mental power, we can't keep those golden shadows outside for long. But Ren Xiaosu is different. He has unlimited spiritual power. But soon he hesitated again, because Ren Xiaosu knew that Luo Lan liked to pretend to be a pig and eat the tiger. The opponent must have many master and above skills. What if you don't win? Isn't it blood loss? As a result, the palace suddenly popped up a window with 3 perfect skills. Learning maps can learn to formulate skills. Ren Xiaosu's eyes suddenly lit up. Although learning 1 skill in 3 chapters is a bit wasteful, but when faced with particularly important skills, this waste is definitely worth it. Ren Xiaosu was actually willing to use 3 perfect level skill maps to reproduce Roland's extraordinary skills, just because this is what Ren Xiaosu has seen so far. The only skill that allows the dead to exist in another form. Just then, a wounded person came to Ren Xiaosu to buy black medicine. As a result, Ren Xiaosu laughed happily and said, "This is an extremely dangerous place to step on. No need to negotiate if the amount is less than 1 million. The wounded man's face turned bitter when he heard that. "For the sake of us being colleagues in the past, you have to be cheaper." Ren Xiaosu was stunned. "Colleague, you are also a doctor," the wounded man explained. "Oh no, I used to be a robber." Ren Xiaosu. His face suddenly darkened. "Do you still want to treat your injury?" I haven't waited for the wounded to speak yet, but I heard Wang Yun next to me suddenly say, "How many bottles of this medicine do you have here?" 3 bottles are enough for more than 10 people. Then I will offer 6 million to help you buy it. What do you think? Ren Xiaosu didn't expect this guy to be so wealthy, so he simply threw the 3 small porcelain bottles into his hands. At this time, the wounded all looked at Wang Yun eagerly. It's not easy to meet a good person in a place like this these days. But Wang Yun smiled playfully at the wounded person. "If you want, I can sell it to everyone cheaper." He wants 1 million, and I only need 500,000. In addition, a piece of information worth 500,000 yuan must be exchanged. Wang Yun herself is engaged in intelligence. But after he discovered that there were too many demons and monsters in the Holy Mountain this time, I feel like I might not be able to capture experimental subject number 001. But with this important information, you can still attack yourself when you go back. Kong Donghai will understand who is the most reliable person. Then Wang Yun laughed and said, "You also know my memory and analytical skills. So don't try to get some unimportant information or false information. Come to fool Ren Xiaosu, who is looking at his heart. Explain." Wang Yu's thoughts turn around very quickly. "The big liar next to me has a very low voice," said young Marshal. "If you still have one, do you want to steal information from him?" As a result, Wang Yun turned around and said, "Maybe you are stronger than me, but I'm better at analyzing the authenticity of intelligence. Why don't we cooperate? The information I get here will be shared with you." Ren Xiaosu nodded. Taken back, "The black medicine I just took out." Shout and sigh. This Wang Yun is a smart man. Why did you turn your head and smile? Talents like Kong should flourish in the Northwest, Ren Xiaosu said with a smile. Then go and tell his fortune. As a result, he shouted and whispered, "No need to tell fortunes. I'll take a picture of him talking to Roland later." Kong Haidong is a suspicious person. Give this photo to Mr. Kong. This Wang Yun will never be reused in her life. Ren Xiaosu looked at De Liang in surprise. This is to force Wang Yun into danger. Do you often do this kind of thing? The big liar said shyly. We can't always do the same thing as Daxing Northwest. However, at this moment, one casualty died of serious injuries, but gray, velvet-like tentacles protruded from the weeds on the ground. Plunge into corpse. I saw the body disintegrating quickly as if a wax statue was melting. Everyone stood up in shock. I'm afraid that something will dig into the soles of my feet. Soon the body completely disappeared. Even the clothes were completely decomposed into dust. This scene is too weird. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojing looked at each other. They both remembered almost at the same time. Corpses and jade fish meat that disappeared mysteriously in the mountains. Now the answer to this puzzle finally appeared in front of Ren Xiaosu. He looked at his feet with inexplicable palpitations. Not sure what's hidden down here. Ren Xiaosu controlled Lao Su to dig up the ground directly with his bare hands. Want to find traces of that weird plant. As a result, this scene left Cheng Yu and others next to him stunned. I think this white mask is too fierce. Are you not afraid of that plant attack? But Lao Su dug down half a meter deep. I didn't see anything strange. The gray silk flesh seems to have sucked the corpse. Then he retreated deeper into the ground. Does he only eat corpses? Idiom's assistant asked doubtfully. Ren Xiaosu shook his head. You might also be attacked by him while sleeping. Then how do we sleep at night? The first thing Roland cared about was this. Ren Xiaosu looked up at the tree. Then I can only sleep in a tree. Roland looked above his head in embarrassment. He tried to climb up, but I just lay down on a branch. The branch was actually broken by his strong body. Roland grinned after falling. Is there any other way? Ren Xiaosu sighed. If you want to live, just find a thicker branch. Although I might be overthinking it. But Xiaoxi is right after all. At night, everyone sat in front of the campfire in silence. Wang Yun has completed the exchange of information. Wang Yun kept her promise and found Ren Xiaosu. There are only 5 pieces of important information here. I will tell you one by one. Ren Xiaosu glanced at Wang Yun in surprise. What do you want? Wang Yun said with a smile. I don't want much. I only hope that if you can really enter the core area of the Holy Mountain. Found experimental subject number 001. Can you give me a sample of his genes? In fact, Wang Yun wanted to use his best ability to hold Ren Xiaosu's thigh. But when Ren Xiaosu thought that the experimental subject might be 6 yuan, he decisively refused. But Wang Yun is not particularly persistent. It doesn't matter if I can't give it. Then do whatever you can. Keep me alive. Ren Xiaosu asked curiously. You're not afraid that I won't save you even if I have the energy to spare? I can bet. Wang Yun said with a smile. After Wang Yun 151 shared the information. After Wang Yun finished speaking about the information, suddenly looked at Ren Xiaosu. Since we are now in a cooperative relationship, then can I know your name? Ren Xiaosu thought for a while and said, My name is Thank You Wang Yun. I didn't react for a while. He was still thinking about what kind of character San was. He asked seriously, Isn't that your full name? What is your full name? Ren Xiaosu thought for a while again. Full name? Thank you very much Wang Yun. Suddenly full of questions. You really don't want to say it. Forget about the name. Still taking advantage here. This night Ren Xiaosu keeps vigil. Want to beware of that weird plant attack? But there was no movement all night. So everyone set out early the next morning. On the way forward, Idiom will look at Xiaosu suspiciously from time to time. He suddenly remembered. It seems that Ren Xiaosu hasn't sung children's songs for several days. This singing and dancing singer suddenly stopped singing and dancing. Cheng Yu felt a little uncomfortable, feeling the depressing atmosphere in the team. The Idiom suddenly said, Who wants you to show off your talent? Idiom's assistant was shocked on the spot. Did you say that this extraordinary person of yours was brainwashed by a singing and dancing singer? Why did you take the initiative to ask for a talent show? In the end, Ren Xiaosu just glanced at Idiom. Neuropathy. After saying that, he continued to move forward. I suddenly felt insulted. Why are you so crazy? Weren't you always asking for talent shows before? Now let you perform. You don't perform anymore. Ren Xiaosu started to trick people again. Before, I sang children's songs and danced rubber bands by myself. Now I want to bring everyone together to perform a talent show. Many days have passed since the trip to the Holy Mountain. Many people's food was completely exhausted. Idioms. They are pretty good. Some people have been hungry all day. Another person picked wild vegetables and came back to cook them. I couldn't sleep that night. Ren Xiaosu looked solemn. Every step from departure to now is planned by Huazhong. Once everyone runs out of food, I'm afraid they will start a real encirclement and suppression campaign. Yang shouting nodded. People with Tinder layout are very smart. We should be approaching the core area of the Holy Mountain in 2 days. The remaining 2 days are the most difficult. That night, everyone sits around their own campfire. His expressions flickered with the swaying bonfire. What makes Xiaosu surprised is that the palace suddenly spoke. Mission ended. The dull atmosphere cheered up teammates. Ren Xiaosu looked around the circle. People, I thought this was a palace. Do you mean to let yourself perform your talents? But at this time, others are too hungry to perform their own talents. There's no way to make them happy. Sometimes Ren Xiaosu's tasks are more like doing a reading comprehension question. He used his strong logical ability to analyze the precise meaning behind the proposition person, then raise the task completion level to the perfect level. Ren Xiaosu got up and walked to the middle of the camp. Cheng Yui saw him getting up. My heart feels dark. Is it possible that this guy is going to start performing his talents again? This is too capricious. At this time, Ren Xiaosu said to everyone, I know you probably don't have enough food, but I brought more food when I went out this time. I still have a whole pack of compressed biscuits. The 4 words, compressed biscuits, are like magic. At once attracted everyone's attention. But Ren Xiaosu changed the topic. I can give away compressed biscuits to everyone for free, but I have a condition. The idiom assistant wondered what the conditions were. Ren Xiaosu was silent for a moment and said, Each of you will perform a talent for me. After hearing this, everyone was immediately filled with questions. Ren Xiaosu is very happy. Since I am performing my talent alone, I can't make everyone happy. Then let them perform their talents. Everyone in the camp looked at each other. A piece of compressed biscuit is enough for their body to consume for a day. But acting talent is too nonsense, right? Idioms. Look at Ren Xiao. Do you really think we would sell our pride for a little food? Ren Xiaosu is not happy anymore. Just performing a talent. Have I never performed before? Why does it have to do with self-esteem? Chung Yusin says, That's because you are thick-skinned. We are not thick-skinned. At this time, a middle-aged man said, Everyone present. I'm afraid they are all well known in their respective organizations. Who do you think would show off their talents to you for a piece of compressed biscuit? Don't you all want to lose face? At this moment, Chung Yu suddenly looked at the white mask. He is the strongest person in the team. It's better to let the white mask confront Ren Xiaosu. As a result, Idiom just wanted to say bad things to Shadow. I just watched the white mask split open. Idioms. They were all confused at the time. You can defeat T5 level masters. Why do you say splitting means splitting? This scene simply subverted Idiom's worldview. There was a feeling of surprise in his heart. I wonder if I am still in the illusion created by the canyon. Wang Yun next to her had a smile on her face. This scene just confirmed his thoughts. The barrier breaker and the white mask appeared in Los Angeles at the same time. Absolutely not. Otherwise, how could a strong man like White Mask be so cooperative? Barrier breaker. Wang Yun felt that she had seen through. This information alone is worth tens of millions. At this time, Wang Yun also stood up and said with a smile, Then let me show you my talent too. This is a song I learned in Kong's army school, called Gorilla Song. As she said this, Wang Yun started singing. There are white masks for everyone to get off the stairs. Wang Yun cooperated again. Others in the camp quickly swallowed their pride. Have to say, this really made the whole camp suddenly happy. Have something to eat. There will also be people who keep making some jokes. At the same time, someone is lying on the cliff, watching all this with a military telescope. He turned on the headset and said, The above plan needs to be postponed for a while. I discovered that their food supplies were not depleted and not tired, and someone in Miley said, how could they be doing something? The Tinder observer hesitated, said they were singing and dancing. Someone else is performing the splits. And Miley suddenly became silent. At the same time, there was also singing and dancing in the vanilla camp. But the performer is not from their Anjin temple, but a fire person. Suddenly Li Shuntan smiled at Si Liren and said, Xiao Li Ren Lai. I said beside me. Li Shuntan picked up a stone next to him. Bomb. Fingertip darts shot into the darkness of the woods. Vanilla and others suddenly looked towards the place where the stone disappeared. But there's nothing there. Li Shuntan smiled towards the darkness and said, why are so many people arrested? Finally couldn't bear it anymore. Someone laughed and said in the dark, why do you and I care about the lives of these people? I just want to take a look at you. Vanilla and others were stunned. The voice in the darkness was exactly the same as Li Shintan's. Si Liren looked at Li Shuntan. I'm going to kill him. Li Shuntan shook his head, turning to the person in the darkness and asking, were the fall of East Lake and the trap of Holy Mountain all your work? That voice in the dark negates it so well that you should know it very well. Neither of us has the IQ. You fart. Li Shuntan jumped up angrily. Just scold yourself. Don't scold me too. The people in the woods laughed. Is there any difference? Li Shuntan sneered. Of course there is a difference. You're just a defective product, aren't you? Then we'll wait and see. After the man in the woods said these words, he turned around and left. Didn't rush out. Killing spree. Vanilla and others finally breathed a sigh of relief. Released from the state of being faced with a formidable enemy. Now their suspicions have finally been confirmed. There is indeed a second devil whisperer in this holy mountain. Vanilla turned around and saw Li Shuntan bouncing the silver coin high on his fingertips. The sound of the silver coin spinning is clear and sweet. Vanilla and the others suddenly felt refreshed. Vanilla frowned. You want to hypnotize us? Li Shuntan was calm until just now. He gave you psychological hints as he spoke. I'm here to help you regain your sanity. Don't worry, you won't even know how you died in the future. Vanilla looked at Li Shuntan. I'm curious. Why don't you just kill him? Li Shuntan looked at Vanilla. Smile. We must preserve our strength. Why did you do everything? Wouldn't it be nice to let others share this surprise? The corner of Vanilla's mouth twitched. Is this a surprise? This is frightening. However, what Li Shuntan did not say was that he doesn't want to deal with this replica of himself by himself at all. But I am even more looking forward to the scene when this replica meets Ren Xiaosu. When Li Shuntan imagined this Taihanhan, what Ren Xiaosu looks like when he wants to hypnotize him, he laughed out loud. Si Liren next to him glanced at him. I'm afraid your mental illness won't get better. Suddenly Vanilla said, since it can be reproduced, then you can create countless copies. When the time comes, it will be difficult for 2 fists to defeat 4 hands. Even if he is a defective product, you can't beat that many, right? But at this moment, Li Shuntan suddenly frowned. Ordinarily, if the technology used by Tinder is cloning, then there must be more than one replica. And have you ever thought about it? Extraordinary genetic samples collected by pyrotechnics. Why are there dozens of them? Then why doesn't even T5 have extraordinary abilities? It's just that the physical quality is so high that it's scary. Vanilla was stunned. Earlier, they all thought that pyrotechnics could only extract the genes of extraordinary people to make some low-end versions of warriors. But now a replica of Li Shuntan appears. This view has been rejected. But Li Shuntan is determined to. They must have some rare means. Can unlock the extraordinary abilities of a certain clone. But this method is difficult even for Tinder companies to operate. For example, it can only be used a few times. That's why we give it to the most powerful ones. Vanilla looked at Li Shuntan in astonishment. You talked about it for a long time. I just want to change my tactics. Praise yourself for being the most powerful. But Vanilla suddenly felt. Li Shuntan's inference may be the truth. Everyone praises Li Shuntan as the era of the rise of gods. The person closest to God. So if the fire needs to be in the clones of many rebels, Choose someone to activate their abilities. Then Li Shuntan is indeed the best choice. Vanilla turned and left. He has to quickly send out tonight's information. Vanilla just picked up the phone, but I found that my phone had no signal at all. Could it be that the Tinder company implemented a means of blocking interference? Then I'm afraid Tinder will start a real fight. Replica of the devil. And finally met Ren Xiaosu at the altar of philosophy. Ren Xiaosu was originally resting at the camp, but I was surprised to find that in the camp, everyone slowly closed their eyes. Look around. Except he's still awake. Without exception. At this time the people in the woods came out. The other party looked at Ren Xiaosu and suddenly said in surprise, "Why didn't you sleep?" Ren Xiaosu thought for a while. Replied, "I'm not sleepy yet." Replica of the devil. The speaker suddenly became unhappy. "I'm hypnotized. Brother, can you respect me?" At this time Ren Xiaosu asked, "Why did you come running up the mountain?" Li Shintan laughed. "Can you come? Why can't I come to the talking room?" The replica devil whisperer is actually sitting not far from Ren Xiaosu. The two parties chatted like friends and talked at night. At this time, the replica devil whisperer has already understood in his heart. The young man in front of me knows Li Shantank, and the relationship seems to be pretty good. The replica devil whisperer is thinking secretly. He didn't know why the other party wasn't hypnotized. The person he was most worried about having an accident before was the white mask. But now all the white masks fell to the ground and fell asleep. On the contrary, this young man is fine. Ren Xiaosu asked again at this time, "Didn't you say before that you were going to the south to wait for the typhoon? Why did you come to the north?" This moment, the replica Li Shantan was silent for 2 seconds. He began to think rapidly in his mind, because he always feels that Ren Xiaosu is blowing him up. Who in the right mind would go south to wait for a typhoon? This replica of Li Shantan and the real Li Shantan. The difference is that one of them is crazy. One does not want to know that Li Shantan was fine when he was a child. I just went crazy because I saw my mother going through hardships with my own eyes. But this replica has never experienced any of that, so he can't understand it at all. How in the world would anyone go south to wait for a typhoon? The replica version of Li Shantan was very cautious and did not answer this question. He stretched out his right hand and suddenly passed it over the bonfire. I saw that the swaying flame suddenly turned into a whirlpool. The red light and shadow are constantly stirring. There are also strange symbols in the light and shadow, shining like stars in the fire. The replica Li Shantan stares at Ren Xiaosu, but he found that Ren Xiaosu still showed no sign of being hypnotized. At this time, the replica version of Li Shantan had already noticed something was wrong. In this holy mountain, even the T5 level can be played with applause by him. But the young man in front of me seemed to have a natural antibody. However, what the replica Li Shantan doesn't know is that, genuinely Shantan, after knowing that Ren Xiaosu cannot be hypnotized, just choose to be friends with Ren Xiaosu. But the replica version of Li Shantan didn't give up. "Let me do another magic trick for you." "What magic do you want to see?" "I can do any type," Ren Xiaosu said seriously. "Then change. The replica Li Shantan you transformed for me last time in Los Angeles." Speechless. How do I know what magic Li Shantan performed for you last time? Suddenly the altar in the replica version smiled. "Okay, just change that." But this moment, every bite said by the altar in the replica version, they all seem to have turned into ethereal birds. Go straight into Ren Xiaosu's ear. This voice is like a devil whispering in your ears. The reason why the devil whisperer is called a devil, the speaker, this is because of his most powerful method. It's this hypnotic technique like a whisper. He stared straight at Ren Xiaosu, this time the replica version of Li Shantan. Finally, I saw a hint of confusion in Ren Xiaosu's eyes. As a result, Ren Xiaosu was confused and said, "What are your ink marks on? How about I do a magic trick for you?" Seeing that he is still fine, the replica version of Li Shantan is very frustrated. "Then do whatever you want." Ren Xiaosu nodded. "Then you should be optimistic." As he spoke, a dark door of shadow opened in front of him. The replica version of Li Shantan was stunned for a moment. "What magic is this?" Ren Xiaosu smiled and reached into the door of shadow. This magic is called stabbing someone in the back. The replica version of Li Shuntan looks down at his chest, and the blood gurgling out from the wound. He raised his head and looked at Ren Xiaosu in surprise. Why don't you play your cards according to the routine? Ren Xiaosu sighed. You are not Li Shuntan at all. At least Li Shuntan won't use hypnosis on me again and again. And you can't learn from his crazy replica at all. Li Shuntan. A trace of confusion flashed in his eyes. Then he died completely. At this time, Ren Xiaosu saw that the others were still sleeping. So he woke up Yang Xiaojing first. I told him roughly what happened. Yang Xiaojing thought for a while. It's normal to say that Li Shuntan's genes were stolen. Li's supervision of the mental hospital was not strict at first. It would be easy for Tinder to steal his genes. Ren Xiaosu nodded. I just don't know who else they copied. Yang Xiaojing looked at Ren Xiaosu calmly. You don't know, or you don't want to believe it. Ren Xiaosu was silent. The two closest people to the gods in the age of Rise of the Gods. In fact, they all have a close relationship with you. And what's more coincidental is that they all came out of mental hospitals. I know you're avoiding the question, but it's him. Since Tinder has Li Shuntan's genetic sample in his hands, then there must be Chen Wudi and Ren Xiaosu sighing. This happened to me. Only then did I realize how disgusting this kind of unscrupulous research is. Ren Xiaosu moved the altar in the replica version to the middle of the camp. Then he winked at Yang Xiaojing. Let's pretend to be hypnotized together. Others, without outside intervention, sleep with full legs. Didn't wake up at the same time until noon. Immediately afterwards, a confused voice came from the camp. Isn't this Li Shuntan? Who killed him? Ren Xiaosu said sleepily. Did you do this? Everyone in the camp looked at the corpse of the replica Li Shuntan. Surprised. Idiom, doubtful way. But who here has the ability to kill them? Idiom assistant tentatively said. Is it possible that it was suicide? Ren Xiaosu stood next to Li Shuntan's body. Be certain of the way. I saw the wound. It must have been a knife stabbed in from behind. I can't do it myself. At this point, it must have been one of you. Ren Xiaosu stood in the camp. Look around, as if carefully observing everyone's expressions. He looked like he was determined to track down the murderer. Yang Xiaojing saw this scene. Lower your head quickly. Hide your expression under your peaked cap, afraid of being spotted by others. At this moment, Wang Yun suddenly shook her head. I think there is something wrong with this Li Shuntan. Maybe you haven't studied Li Shuntan carefully, but I have studied this kind of people. How could he die so quietly? Have you ever thought this might be a fake? For example, he is one of T6 from Tinder Company. Everyone is lost in thought. Change to another place. No one will believe this. But the Holy Mountain is the research site of pyrotechnics, so it's not impossible. At the same time, Li Shuntan was facing a stream, making all kinds of weird expressions. That replica version of me is dead. Vanilla said in surprise. How do you know when he is giving you psychological hints? I also planted a button in his heart. Now the button is gone. It means that others are gone too. Li Shuntan said naturally. Vanilla stopped talking. It turns out that the original version of Li Shuntan is indeed stronger and better than the replica. He can actually counterattack the opponent, but not being discovered by the other party. C. Liren asked. But what does his death have to do with you making faces? Oh, I want to see what his expression was like before he died. Li Shuntan explained seriously. Does he look like me? I look at myself. You can imagine how frustrated and unwilling he was before he died. It's quite interesting when you think about it. Others nearby heard Li Shuntan say this. Don't even know how to respond. Really a mental patient. Broad ideas. So what should we do next? Vanilla asked. Li Shuntan, glancing deep into the holy mountain, then waved his hand. I'm going to find my friends. So Vanilla and the others followed Li Shuntan expressionlessly, listening to the Tinder Company members singing long-lost songs. Search and search. Find friends. Find a good friend. Tinder Company will shed tears after listening to this song. Vanilla and the others will be silent after hearing this. On Ren Xiaosu's side, all eyes are on the White Mask. Want to hear where White Mask decides to go? As a result, The white mask remained silent. Is it a white mask? Don't know what to do either. Or maybe he also wants to quit. Everyone is thinking wildly. But in fact, the reason why the white mask doesn't speak is, it's as simple as he can't speak. Although Idiom has begun to doubt in the past 2 days, this white mask is a mute. But he didn't dare to ask that. We are now approaching the core area of the Holy Mountain. They will face more brutal siege and suppression. In fact, on the contrary, Ren Xiaosu wanted to act alone. Next moment, Yang Xiaojing suddenly pulled her and rolled her backwards. Pop! A sniper bullet hit right where they were sitting. Ren Xiaosu's reaction was not slow either. Follow Yang Xiaojing and run into the woods. Tinder's counterattack came faster than they imagined. Roland rolled and crawled behind Ren Xiaosu. Wait, I'm talking. He kept up the pace. Follow Ren Xiaosu and others to find a bunker. But Roland suddenly discovered. The 2 people in front didn't seem to have any intention of finding cover. Instead, it seems like he is looking for the best counterattack position. The white mask also moved. He did not follow Ren Xiaosu, but running in the opposite direction. So much so that everyone else in Ren Xiaosu, Yang Xiaojin, went in the opposite direction. The furious roar of sniper rifles kept coming, but the sniper obviously didn't pay attention to on this small group of them. On the contrary, it was the shadow side that helped attract all the firepower. However, Cheng Yu and others are not soft persimmons who can be manipulated by others. Just for a moment, the illusion of idiom has been activated. There are countless people in the whole mountain, running in all directions. So much so that the sniper hiding in the dark couldn't tell the difference. Who are the real people? Which ones are fake? Although the idiom's illusion has no actual lethality, can be used to confuse enemies. Indeed, a masterpiece. At this time, Idiom suddenly remembered something. Isn't the partner in the white mask good at using sniper rifles? He yelled at the white mask. Let your partner take action. I'll create illusion cover here. But the shadow only cares about running like crazy. Don't pay attention at all. Idiom. Idiom. I'm anxious. He looked around. I want to see if there is any other hope. But upon looking at it, I was shocked to find that Ren Xiaosu and others were missing. At this time, Yang Xiaojin said while running. Now it is confirmed that the opponent has 2 snipers. A 3-point direction is 721 meters. A 4-point direction is 632 meters. Which 4 points do you choose? Ren Xiaosu said. There's no need for him to be pretentious when it comes to firearms. Yang Xiaojing is better than him, so he chooses the simple one. I saw the young man and woman in front of him kneeling on one knee at the same time. The moment I raised my hand, then an identical black sniper rifle appeared. Ren Xiaosu's firearm skills come from Yang Xiao, so the 2 people's actions in one go. In the eyes of Roland and the others, it was as if they were carved from the same mold. They have such a tacit understanding that each other is like a ghost of the other. Even breathing is at the same frequency, with gunfire spitting out. Sniper bullets spin out with huge kinetic energy. Roland swears. He has never seen such a powerful sniper rifle. What's the difference between this and a cannon? However, the faces of Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin were always calm. It's like doing a very normal thing. Roland suddenly turned his head. Look in the direction they're shooting. 2 masses of blood mist burst out from the distant mountains. Idioms from the other direction. Wait for someone to stop. The sound of sniper fire on the distant mountains has stopped. It's obvious that someone directly killed the Tinder Company snipers. I don't know why the idiom is so certain. These 2 people must be Ren Xiaosu and Miss Yang, combined with the previous incident of the sniper assisting the white mask. Idiom. Come to a conclusion as if suddenly enlightened. It turns out that the couple are the assistants of the white mask.